Okay, one more just a little check from everybody.
Check, check, check.
Hello.
Hello, Brian.
Check, check.
Everything seems to be working. This is pretty exciting, huh?
Yeah.
Technology. Let's do it, motherfuckers. Hello and welcome to Start the Beat with Sykes. My name is Sykes and this is my podcast. Before we get started, I just wanted to take a quick moment to thank everyone who checked out the last episode. If you're one of the people who listened to that conversation, I hope you enjoyed it and thanks so much for coming back. But for those of you out there who are new to the show, welcome. Please feel free to make yourselves at home. And as always, there's beer and soda in the fridge. Cheers, my friends.
Cheers.
Cheers. Ugh, there's so many boys around me today. This is exciting.
It's exciting, right?
I didn't even take a sip. There's a bunch of sips sitting around me.
Get it. Sip it up. Get that sip.
I've had a
I'm
bunch of sips.
I'm sitting here today with 3/5 of the band Northern Gold. Make some noise for the internet, my friends.
Hello. Hi, Internet.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks for having us, Brian.
Everybody's really happy that you're here. I'm happy that you're here. This is kind of long overdue to some extent. Justin has been on the show before, making fun of Billboard
yes.
Top 40 music. We
Yes.
did a series of those. That was a good time. Jake has never been on the show.
No, I have not.
And I've known you longer than anybody else in this room, which is
Yeah.
funny. And you obviously have also not ever been on this show. So starting with you and
my
moving this
premiere.
way, let's introduce ourselves and let's talk about the band.
We're starting with me.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. I'm Monty George II. I play keys and pedal steel for Northern Gold, and I'm like the texture guy. And I'm here because I saw these guys years ago. Was doing some filling work on drums, and then we became brothers. And well, the rest is history. And so here I am, and that's my story.
Love it, love it, love it.
I'm Jake. I play guitar and sing in Northern Gold. That I kind of started, I guess.
Yeah, this is like your little baby, isn't
It
it?
is. I've been playing music for a while, and I've done a little bit of everything. And this is the first time that I've done like a band like this, more acoustic singer-songwriter.
Ex-emo boy finds a way to
Yeah.
still write sad songs, but be mature
Yeah,
and be an adult.
You have to be. You have to have your outlets.
That's basically like, that should be on the sticker for your fucking album.
Yeah, it's fun to be a sad emo guy, and it's there's always something to write about going through life. So this is a good outlet for me, and I'll never stop playing music.
Hell
so,
yeah.
Yeah, same.
But yeah,
Justin,
fun,
what's
man.
your story, man?
My name's Justin Campbell. And what was it, about 3 years ago? I was living with Nate, our drummer, and he asked if I would fill in for a radio show that Northern Gold was doing. And I was like, yeah, sure, absolutely, man. Because I love playing bass, I love playing music, and did the radio show. I did I'd give myself a grade of like a 60% on that because I knew most of the songs, but I definitely had some flubs in there. And I think shortly after that, like Jake and the guys were like, hey, do you just want to like join, be part of the band? I was like, yeah, dude, love the music. And, here we are 3 years later, put out a new album this May. I don't know. These guys are my brothers now. I love all of them.
Same.
It's kind of like one of those rarities. I played in like a bunch of bands, and you always like the people you play with, but luckily with Northern Gold, I love everybody in the band, and same goes with us because we playing Sykes together too. But we've been playing that for 2012,
Long enough.
long enough,
Yeah.
long enough. But that's who I am. I play bass. If anybody doesn't know that,
Me and Justin have gone a little bit more gray together at this point.
I definitely have.
You still got a little bit of red left.
Right here in the mustache, and every time I look in the mirror and I see a few more white hairs, I'm just like, coming. I'm gonna look like Santa Claus soon. It's coming.
You're already
But hey,
there.
I can get a gig.
Yeah.
Every winter I can get a gig.
Silver Fox though.
Silver Fox.
That's it.
I've heard that a few times. I don't think so, but that's
So the new album is called Searching,
Mhm.
correct?
Correct.
And let's dig in a little bit into this record because this is the first like full length Northern Gold album, right? Or did you release another full length? I know you had like an EP or something. I can't remember.
I still kind of call them both EPs because they're
Okay.
like around 7 songs each.
Yeah.
So I would say they're both EPs. just, a little bumped up, a little extra in there.
Yeah.
But if you put them together, then it's just one big
Yeah,
album.
there you go. So, it took a while to kind of get this record out for multiple reasons. The first being member changes. After the first record, we kind of went through some lineup changes and people exiting and entering and then exiting again and whatnot. And it took a while to solidify that lineup. So once we got that going, then the music just kind of started flowing. And I think having the newer members, and when I say newer members, I mean like Justin and Monty and Nate, it really helped with the writing because the first record was solely kind of written by me and recorded by me. Dez was there, the other guitar player, and he helped with a lot of that. But he was so new to the band that it didn't really there wasn't enough time to get everything together.
Sure. It takes a lot of time, an unfortunate amount of time to get songs together, to even get an album together when you're independent.
Mm-hmm.
By meaning, I also work like 65 fucking hours a week doing something else, and I have like a significant other, or some people have kids, some people are in school, some people have all of those things because they're maniacs and they're still trying to play in bands. So it takes like 3-4 years to put together an album, even though maybe collectively you worked on it for like 2 weeks.
Right.
It's just like
Very true.
That's such a limited amount of time. That's why I always have so much respect for bands that can actually get enough shit together to get an album out, even if I don't like the music,
Right.
even if I don't like the people. I'm like, well, you still managed to somehow get this to fucking happen. It's a lot of work.
It's a ton of work. But yeah, like I was saying, when we got the new members into the band finally, we all just really clicked, like when it came to writing. I think everyone kind of aligned with the vision that I was going for. And
What is that vision?
I don't even know. I mean, I like, when it comes to music, I like pretty much everything. I really do. There's nothing that, there's not a specific genre I'm like, I won't listen to it. Well, you know what? I take that back. I don't know if I can do techno.
Okay.
No offense to anyone who listens to techno.
I just love the meme of some bearded boy with a nice hat on and a flannel, just like, I don't think I could do techno.
Yeah, no.
We're going to change that.
Throw some electronic stuff in there.
But yeah, like
Strictly techno.
I would say my element that I bring to the music would be like the country-ish vibe that we somehow have. I like a lot of old country, so I dig that. I like blues. Like I said, I like a lot of stuff. So meshing that together was kind of the idea, and I think everyone took that and understood it, and even went outside of where I would have thought to go. And that's what makes the new record so cool.
So I mentioned it earlier, obviously ex-emo boy. I mean,
Yeah.
I guess once an emo, always an emo.
That's true.
But to go into that a little bit more, you came from a background playing in like, post-hardcore, metalcore sort of bands, doing that thing. And I remember whenever you first started doing Northern Gold, I had a conversation with you about the dynamic shift of what people at shows were like. Because I know that like you had talked about like playing like open mics and stuff and how it was a lot more like gratifying and people were actually there to see the music and be a part of the thing. Whereas like back in the day playing shows with like the scene kids and all that stuff, it felt like a lot of people were just there to be a part of the thing, but the music was more just like wallpaper. It wasn't the main event.
Yeah, it's never a good feeling when you are on stage and then you finish a song and you have, 16-year-old emo kids, whatever you want, hardcore kids going, where's the breakdown? Like, yeah. So, I mean, when doing the open mics and stuff, it's a great way to try out new material, which is why I like, and meet people. That's why I like did it for a while. I remember, like 1 week, I just tried to find every open mic in the city that I could go to. And I did that. And I met a lot of people doing that. And it helped get Northern Gold more into whatever scene we fall into now. I'm not really sure what you would call that. But
When you're playing around Pittsburgh specifically, do you find yourselves playing with like any certain bands like a lot, or is it always kind of like a weird hodgepodge lineup? Do you always feel like you're the odd ones out in a way?
Sometimes, yeah. I would say more often than not, we're the odd ones out. I mean, there's a lot of pop punk bands that we get booked with, and
So like you're still kind of there's still like part of that scene that's still
It's
holding on to you.
yeah, there's two extremes. There's like the pop punk, and then there's like the ultra like bulky,
So like
earthy bands.
so
that
either like you're too folky for one show, and then the other one you're like a little bit too
we're too
like too heavy
Yeah,
in some
yeah,
way or
yeah,
another, like
exactly.
too much. Yeah.
too much rock and roll, I guess. I don't know. Yeah, it's a weird thing. We don't really. I don't know. I'm
We're
sure
like,
there's bands out there that I would love to play with. So if your band is aligned with something that we're doing, please let us know so
Yeah,
we could
hit
play.
us
What you-
I was gonna say it's like we're like emo for the hardcore kids, but hardcore for the emo kids in a sense.
Yeah.
Not that we're hardcore at all, but yeah, it's kind of hard to fit into a place or a genre. I really don't know where
I
we
tend
fit.
to find that that
Very
is
exploratory right now.
I tend to find that that's a downfall when you do what you just want to do. Everybody I
Yes.
know that does music or even any kind of art, even if it's like a visual art, if it's like, oh, I'm just following my passion. It's like, okay, well, you're a fucking weirdo and you don't fit in anywhere probably. And it a lot of times I know people that are in bands are just like, well, I want to do a hardcore band. And it's very just by the books hardcore. And like it just seems like there's a lot more of a home for them.
Mhm.
But at the same time, it doesn't feel, I don't like that idea of like, oh, like I'm going to play one certain style of music so I can play on shows with bands that sound exactly like me. And then it's like this, like,
Yeah, you run into the
Right.
cookie cutter thing
Yeah.
where every band sounds the same on every show that you're playing, which we played in Ohio a couple years ago, and it was I love the way that the show was set up. It started off with like a hardcore band. They opened the night, and then the band in between was like kind of emo. I would like compare them to like Circus Survive, and then we closed the show out, and it was like no one left. No one's ears got tired that night. Everyone stuck around and like really enjoyed it. So
Because you're not hearing the same thing
right,
over
yeah,
and over again. Yeah.
And I really love when that when you get on a show that's like that. It really kind of sets you up for your vibe too, because I mean, we definitely have like a vibe that we want everyone to feel while we're playing, and you know, if everyone that night sounds like pop punk, and then there's us, they're gonna be like, "What? I was trying to party."
It's
You know?
well, and in that respect, I like the fact that we don't kind of fit into one specific genre, and two reasons for that. Because, like you just said, we kind of, in a way, are like the odd band out, but we're gonna gain some fans doing that. But I also like the fact that, like, from a writing process, it's like, well, everything's an open book.
Yeah, that's
You know,
true.
And we don't have to sit and go, well, we have to write, a country record. That's what we have to do because we're a country band, or we're a rock band, so we have to write a rock record. It's like, no, we can do whatever we want, and it's going to turn out great.
I feel like I can still say this as an outsider since I'm the newest member.
You
of
are
the
not an
band.
outsider.
Well, I'm just saying, like coming into the band and seeing things from a more like objective perspective is this group and all the bands I've been with over the years. Like this group, it's so original, and I feel something when I play it, and there's so much like realness and rawness to it, and it's so like exploratory. We're kind of in this dimension now where, the previous album, Searching, and now we're writing some new things. Like there's a maturity that's blossoming, and I'm bonding with these guys, and I'm getting to like unleash my own heart and soul into it, and I'm just so grateful for that. I just want to say I love you guys.
You're gonna make me cry, man. You're gonna make me cry.
But yeah, exactly. I just appreciate the opportunity. I really do.
You guys are calling me the emo one.
I will say that, like, I mean, I said it before earlier, but like, I love all of these guys, and I'm blessed, super blessed to be playing with awesome musicians, to be playing and writing the songs that we're writing. And like Monty just said, like last practice, we worked on a new song already that Jake had written, like pretty much a core of it. But by the time we're done with that song, it probably won't sound exactly like what he had done demos of. And that's something I love. It's like, and it's like I said to Nate via our Slack chat about everything. I was like, hey, I love how this is. Let's fuck with it.
Yeah.
And see what we can do with it. And if it stays the same, awesome. That's the song we as a whole wanted to write. And if not, and it changes and somehow there's like some techno beats in there, then which isn't going to happen. But if just experiment and take it as far as we can and be like, cool, this is how this song is. And then we might even get into the studio, kind of like with Searching, and like there were bass parts that, didn't change the part itself, but Matt Very, who we recorded Searching with, was like, hey, why don't you use a Pog on this part? And it was for No Love, I believe. And it was just like kind of like this, what would that be? It'd be our breakdown part for that song.
Yeah.
That'd be the breakdown part. Because, the beat's a little bit more halftime. He's like, hey, let's put a Pog on there. I'm like, all right. Like, I'm not going to fight it. Be like, let's hear what it sounds like. And now that's how that song is. Like, I used that sound for that part of the song, and it made it that much better.
And for those of you that don't play music and or an
Explain
instrument,
what that is.
a Pog is
Oh, yes.
it's a toy from the 90s. No,
Slammers.
We just slap some of them down onto the bass.
it's a pedal,
It's a
Like
pedal.
a
It's
guitar
almost kind
pedal.
of like a
stomp
Sim-
box, if you will.
yeah. It's like like an octave pedal, but it has like symphonic undertones to it. That's the best way I can explain it.
Yeah. You gotta just try your hardest to not say the word synthesized in there, or else anti-techno boy over here is gonna.
Hey, hold on. I didn't say I didn't like the sounds that come from techno.
It's just not his thing.
Not as a whole.
It's not quite what he's searching for.
Oh,
Hey.
Badoop-pa. Nice.
Inconveniently enough, I don't have that sound effect. So,
oh.
That's it. I'm done.
Jake,
This is
obviously,
over.
I know a lot about your musical background.
Yeah.
Justin, I know a lot about your background. Monty, I don't know anything really about you. Can we get just a quick Cliff's Notes version on like what kind of music you were playing? We don't have to dig into like what bands and all that stuff, but like
Yeah.
what sort of genres you were playing in.
Well, I grew up, playing like coffee houses in high school and stuff like that. And I got into the drums. Then I picked up bass, picked up guitar, kind of a multi-instrumentalist, but drums have been my home, I think. And I did some tech metal bands, some indie bands. I toured a little bit. I got to try out for Victory Records, which was a pretty crazy experience. But then I took some time off, got into art, kind of gave music the back seat for a while, just because I wasn't vibing with people as far as like music goes, and
Yeah.
just kind of doing my own thing and just kind of being a lone ranger for a while. And then started playing drums again, saw these guys, and then me and Jake became friends, and he asked me to fill in for him, and the rest is history. I'm perfectly placed.
I think that's a really, it's super interesting to know that you also come from like a more, we'll just say like extreme music background as
Oh,
well
yeah.
in some regards. I think everybody in the band in one form or another has played in
Yeah.
like punk bands or hardcore bands
I've been
or
in
some
doom
sort of like,
bands.
some
Yeah.
form of like a heavier thing.
Yeah.
And now you've all found each other in this avenue where you can just write more. I mean, it's still rock music, but it's not as, I don't know, just adolescent.
It's less anger and more heart. I would
Sure.
say, you know?
It's like
That's
the
a
same
great way
amount
to
of
put it.
emotion, but yeah, put into a different channel.
Yeah, exactly.
So the best part that he left out is that he was filling in on drums for us, and I was like, "Hey man, I really like hanging out with you." And I should mention too, shout out to Evan.
Evan.
Yes.
Evan played keys in the band before he left for the Air Force, so he actually did get to record on the record, which we were happy about. But now he's in the Air Force, so we were losing a key player, and Monty was hanging around, and he played his, you did piano lessons and whatnot when you were younger, and
a little bit here and there.
just knowing the kind of guy he is, as far as like talent, and I was like, hey, you should just come jam on keys, like try to pick it up, and he's like, yeah, I'll give it a shot. I'm not much of a key player. And I was like, all right, cool.
Now I'm in love with it.
Now, I think it was like the first practice that you came to hang out. I was just like, okay, so you're going to play keys now. By the way, there's this instrument called the pedal steel that
You're going to have to learn.
you're going to
Yeah, I was
hate
watching
it.
videos on YouTube about that thing, and then sat down with her, and
It's a beast.
quite an
Yeah, it
instrument.
is.
Quite
It's
an instrument.
Different.
Yeah.
Not like a guitar at all.
No,
No.
no, it's its own thing.
Speaking of Evan, I just saw an Instagram post where he was wearing our Northern Gold shirt.
Yeah, our buddy Chris went down to visit him.
Yeah,
in
he was with
Texas,
Chris.
and I sent him a little care package of a bunch of stuff because I wanted him to have it.
Yeah. You know, it's crazy is like, Monty come in and filling in on drums and now he's on keys. What really solidified it for me was just this dude as a person. Because we're very similar.
man.
We're very similar. I mean, I'm a little bit older. I'm older than everybody in the band.
You're
but,
older than everybody in Pittsburgh.
I know.
Combined.
If you guys didn't know, I'm 80 years old. I'm 80 years old. I just look really good. I take care of myself.
Yeah.
But no, that's what solidified it for me. And
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think
that was very, and I think I even said it to you that it was very important that anybody that is part of this band or even kind of is like around us as friends, it's like we have to like love that person.
Mhm.
If not, it's kind of, I don't know, it's kind of toxic in a way. It could, like if you don't have the right people and you don't love them or you don't respect them, and it becomes very toxic very quick.
I know that. I think that, I mean, I can't speak on behalf of Humani because I don't know much about your background, but I know for a fact that I have, Justin has, and Jake, we've all kind of been in situations where we've been kind of stuck in a situation being in bands with people that it's just like, that wasn't the case. You know what I mean? Like we have this thing that we care about, this band, but it's like the foundation of this band, the pillars that are supposed to hold this up, it's like they're all rotting.
Mhm.
And the whole thing fucking crumbles. It's like we try our hardest to keep it afloat, but it's like, fuck. It's like, we all love making music so much, but when you're stuck doing it with people that you don't care about or people that you don't think who are on the same level, it creates a super toxic thing. It's why I always think it's super crucial for bands to be like friends, like really good friends, be able to like hang out, do things, and not just be a thing of like, well, we get together once a week and then that's it.
It's like
No.
a good
Yeah.
example of that is in 2 weeks? Is it 2 weeks? We're going to Vegas
Yeah.
together.
2
Oh,
weeks.
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And
Party.
like Nate, our drummer, like for years, even before I was in Northern Gold, he's like, hey man, I want to go to Vegas. Do you want to come with me? And I'm like, dude, I'm unemployed right now. I don't got money to go to Vegas. And probably a few months ago, he's like, hey, do you guys want to go to Vegas?
It's been a thing since
Yeah.
I've known Nate.
Yeah.
That He really just wants to go to Vegas.
He's very like, let's go to Vegas. We'll have a great time.
I'd say that's probably the best part about Nate is that even like when we're talking music stuff, he'll be like, so I got this deal here. And I'm like, oh, here we go with the Vegas thing.
Yeah.
So I think everyone just finally got tired of it. And we're like, Nate, okay, we're going to go to Vegas now. But in exchange, you're not going to talk about Vegas for like another year. Okay. So
That's his thing.
We're all
That's his
going.
thing.
It's going to be great.
I'm really stoked though. Like,
Oh, yeah.
I'm really
It's gonna be a
stoked that
great
we're
time.
going. Yeah.
It's going to be a lot of fun.
It's gonna be a lot of fun. I'm gonna gamble my ass off and
It's a blast. I just got back from 8 days in
Yes.
Disney World.
Oh,
Saw
yeah.
And I
that.
just want to
Yeah,
go.
saw
I want
that.
to take like all my friends to Disney World.
dude.
Disney
yes.
World
It'd be
is
so
awesome.
fucking
Dude, I would
awesome.
love that.
It's
I
a
would
blast.
Love that.
It
Did
was
you do
so
the
much
Mission
fun.
to Mars thing where you like they put you in like that centrifuge and it feels like you're like
I
lifting
didn't
off?
do that.
Oh yeah,
Um,
that's gnarly.
We
Yeah.
couldn't do everything. Didn't do that because that's in Epcot, and that's probably where we spent
Oh,
the
yeah.
least amount of time.
How about the hang glider one? Did you at least ride that?
Yeah.
Soaring?
Yeah, we did Soarin'.
Wait, 8 days and you couldn't do everything.
No,
Dude, there's
No,
so much
places
stuff
are
there.
enormous.
It's that big.
it's huge.
Oh.
Yeah.
There's probably more. I was there when I was probably like 8 or 9. I was young, and we did a lot of stuff there. But like, we were only there for a weekend, and like we didn't even scratch the
Yeah,
surface.
like on a speaking geographically, it's the size of 2 Manhattans, and it's made up
Yeah.
of 24 resorts that all have their own restaurants and shopping, plus 4 theme parks, 2 water parks, and another shopping district. So basically, every neighborhood is like a theme park or like something to do. It's
Wow.
it's like basically a giant city that's made
Yeah.
up of these tiny neighborhoods that are theme parks,
Exactly.
and it's insane. And it's literally impossible to do it all, even in 8 days.
Wow. I need to go.
Did you get
That's
the
a lot of
turkey
fun.
on
Yeah.
a stick thing? Did you do that?
What was it?
The turkey on a stick?
No, I don't eat meat, my friend.
Oh. Apologies.
That's okay. I sniffed one for you. How does that sound? Perfect. But yeah, so now that we're talking about bands and friends and turkey and sniffing and licking, so whenever Northern Gold gets together, you're doing a thing. Is there any fun like band practice rituals, or perhaps a place where Northern Gold likes to go as a unit to maybe chow on some food together? A post-show meal, a pre-show meal, post-practice. What are you eating? The world wants to know.
Iron Maiden? Excellent!
All right. I would honestly, I would have to say the porch.
Yeah, the porch of their house.
Yeah. We
That's like pre and
It's like
post show.
we're all kind of our own island, but when we come together, it's like it's a very like it's a hybrid of just personalities and creativity, and there's nothing specific that we do. It's just when we get together, it just feels right. You know, like
Yeah.
you go through life and you're like, where am I headed? And you know, what's the end point? What am I here to attain? But when I'm hanging out with these guys and playing music, like that's it. I feel like I've arrived. So when that happens, it's all good.
Are there any, I don't want to stir the pot, but when it comes to food, are there any severe disagreements on the band? Like maybe a pizza topping or some sort of a condiment or anything?
I don't
That's
know.
a good one.
I hate mayo.
Okay. That's a good one.
Oh, so you're like Colt.
Oh, I can't
Yeah,
do mayo.
I was just going to
can't
say,
do any
Colt
of that.
hates mayo. Colt hates mayo. Shout outs to Colt Greywalker.
Colt.
Hates mayo, does not like pickles.
Nope.
Anything pickled, he
And-
just doesn't.
And I
doesn't
have
fuck with it.
purposely put both of those in our fridge because I live with Colt, and I'll joke with him and be like, "Hey man, I'm gonna throw some mayo on there for you." He's like, "Don't you fucking do it, man! Don't you fucking do that!" I'd be like, "I'm gonna do it when you're not looking. You're gonna eat it. You're gonna love it." He's like, "Mm-mm."
Making
Not
my
gonna
mayo and pickle sandwich.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I pretty much eat anything.
Yeah.
Or at least try it.
Yeah.
I
How's
try to
the-
eat on the healthier side, but you
Okay.
know, I'll eat.
Yeah.
I'll cheat here and there, or even a week at a time. I don't care, but yeah. When it comes to that sort of thing, I would say it's more on the beverage side. You know,
Yeah.
there's some beer guys. I'm more of a whiskey guy.
I'm
Very-
both. Well, I wouldn't call myself a beer guy because I like Coors Light and horrible beer. Apparently, according to everyone, but they like to drink it. So,
Listen, I just like to rag on you about it. I
Yeah,
love
it's
you for
fine.
you, man.
It's fine.
I love you for you. But the other side of that is like you drink higher end whiskey, which I
Oh,
got
yeah.
a lot of respect for.
yeah, well,
You know.
I wouldn't say higher end. It's like
I would-
mid shelf, but whatever.
Well, you're not dropping $200 on a bottle of
Oh
whiskey.
no, I would like to try
Yes,
to do
Me
that.
too. I think all of us would, but
Yeah, no, I enjoy whiskey.
gotta have the funds for that.
Mm.
Yeah, I'm a beer person. I like beer. I'm not a snob by any means.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
not like oh, fuck you for drinking that cheap shit, or no, I don't want that Miller Lite. Fuck you if I'll have one.
You like what you like.
But also, if somebody were to hand me like I don't know, like a Pliny the Elder, I can sit down and appreciate the nuance of this rare beer. That's fine. It doesn't bother me. But with liquor, I love the concept of learning about it, but like the barrier for entry on a price point is so much different than beer. It's so
Mhm.
much easier. Like, oh, I can go to the fucking grocery store and do like a mix 6-pack for $14 and try 6 beers I've never had.
yeah.
I can't do that with whiskey or fucking scotch or anything like that. It's like, how do I learn about this stuff?
Just Jameson. That's all you need to learn.
Okay.
Yeah, there you go. That's
Jameson
my,
covers it all.
yeah, that's my bottom. Like
Covers
to be a-
the bathroom floor when you're puking the next day.
It does. Yeah, Jameson's a good place to start.
Yeah. I concur.
I would disagree. Oh man,
Yeah.
I'll drink it though.
Yeah, you will.
I think that I had some Jameson thanks to you at your album
yes.
release show.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Mm.
Yep.
It goes
was fun.
everywhere with me. That or Crown or you got me into that new one.
Tully,
Tully. Yeah.
Tullamore Dew.
It has a little more of a bite to it, but you know,
See, I think
I
it's,
like the
I
Tully.
think it's smoother.
it's smooth, too.
personally.
I think it's
I think
the
it's smooth.
opposite.
It
You're
definitely
wrong.
has
It's fine.
like
You're wrong. It's fine.
so much. These guys are just bullies. That's all.
Much like music, it's so interesting how food and drink, it enters like songs will enter different people's ears in a different way, and something that sounds like emo to somebody might sound not emo to somebody else, and like a whiskey that might sound or taste rough to someone might be smooth to somebody else.
It is weird.
It's interesting how we all have different palettes sonically, and
I think you also
physically.
like end up developing tastes for things. Like some of my favorite albums, the first time I like played them, I was like, oh, this is awful. I don't want this. And then I would go back and revisit it, and I'm like, wow, what? How did I miss the boat on this? Like,
Yeah.
and the same thing with like certain whiskeys. Like I really didn't like Jameson for a long time, and then he started coming around, and there would always be Jameson. I'm like, all right, I get it. It's not that bad.
Probably
I'll
my,
drink it.
probably my favorite Jameson is like the 12-year. It was a 12-year
Oh, yeah.
barrel aged, and then they have like a 40-year. That's absolute garbage. I mean, you'd think it would taste, at least for me, you'd think it would taste better, but I'm like, nah, I'll go for that 12-year or like the regular
So
Jameson.
I went and recently did the Jim Beam distillery tour this week, and I learned all about whiskey. I didn't really know a whole lot about it, and now I figured out like there's so much stuff that goes into calling a whiskey and a bourbon, and the kinds of barrels and how long they leave it in the barrels and what makes.
It's the same
It
with
was
like
crazy.
the same with like Scotch from actually from Scotland. It's the type of like peat moss they use, I believe, or something like that. Like it's
Probably like filter water or something.
Evan would be able to he would know all that.
It's crazy, but I have an appreciation for it now. Now I'm going to be a whiskey snob. Just kidding. I'm not.
I mean, it's no different than going back to music stuff. Like you start finding out about keyboard stuff, and you're like, oh, okay, so this is a keyboard. There's a Yamaha, here's a Roland, and it's like, okay, like whatever. I don't understand why a fucking like a Dave Smith Prophet is $10,000 and it's just a keyboard. And then you get into it and you're like, oh,
yes.
all the nuance of what all those little knobs and
Exactly.
stuff do. I get it.
Yeah. And that's what I like about this band is like, I've been in other bands where like, you're telling other members like, hey, try this or try that. Like, I don't feel that comes across to me. Like, I don't even have to worry about that. We kind of like get a song, let it simmer, it settles into us. And then the parts that come out individually from the members, it's just like, yeah, that's cool. That's really cool.
I mean, we'll always have suggestions for each other.
Yeah.
And I think that's great. Like with the new song, like Jake basically has written the bass part for it, and I love it. And so I'll probably just keep it the way it is. But by the time we track it, there might be like little things that I do different here and there.
Oh yeah.
And,
that was kind of the idea. I mean, I was
Yeah.
hoping that
Give
you
a
would
bassist
take it
and-
and run with it and do something better.
Yeah, absolutely.
But
But no, like
not
he-
much of a bass player.
No, when you actually like sent over like the clip of that, I was like, dude, that fucking bass part's awesome. It's like, I wish I would have written that.
Hell yeah. So
Sometimes, the simplicity of something, just like it gels right if it all just kind of locks in. And that's the problem, especially coming from a background where maybe you're playing technical metal or you're playing, you're listening to bands like fucking Circa Survive or,
Mhm.
crazy fucking punk stuff. I don't know, Propaganda. I don't know. I'm just trying to think of
Ooh,
bands that are
love
fucking
Propaganda.
technical.
Melancholy.
Yeah, like
Melancholy,
Hell
dude.
yeah.
where
Great band.
you grow up listening to these bands that are like high players, like super technical, but everything that they write isn't technical. It's just the stuff that sticks out to you. So whenever you're trying to write music, you're always trying to write this technical stuff. And sometimes you forget like, oh, I'm trying to create a conversation between me and a listener. And if they don't understand the language that I'm speaking, then song's not going to connect with them. So finding a way to still be technical and interesting, but also sometimes dial your playing ego back and
Yes.
just be comfortable playing something that is simple, but fuck, it's a really interesting conversation for the listener to engage with.
I know from my personal perspective, we even went into the studio to record Searching. There were parts that I had that were a little more complicated. Not that they were like, techie by any means. And while I'm tracking, I'm like, you know what? I just want to dumb this down because I think it'll sound better. And we'd kind of A-B'd parts, and I'm like, yep, let's take this one over here. And it was the more simple because it made the overall song better. And I know that you and I have had, with writing psych stuff, I'll be like,
Yeah.
oh, I want to do this, and it'd be
That's
complicated.
the-
And you're like, Justin, just play something simple. Trust me, in the end, it'll sound great. And then it's like, oh yeah, it
It's the
does.
unfortunate thing about bass guitar and where it sonically sits in the mix.
Right.
Is that most of the time, if you're even doing like some extra work, if it's on time and it works,
It works.
you don't even
yeah.
hear it
Yeah.
a lot of the time, depending on like the tone of the bass. But if you're playing something and it's off or you're struggling, it'll pop out of the mix.
Yeah.
So sometimes
Oh,
it's
yeah.
better just to dumb it down just because you're not hearing all that extra shit anyways. And
Mhm.
it's just like less stress in the studio, less stress trying to play it. I know it's probably a bummer to be like, oh, well, I could be doing this extra little run, but if nobody's going to hear it, it'd be like me just muting all these fucking microphones and us recording the
Right.
conversation anyways. It's like,
I
what's the
think
point?
though it's important to have like it's important to dumb it down for recording purposes, but then like save that stuff for like a live show.
Yeah.
Like make
Yeah.
it a little bit different. If people want to hear the record, they could just play the record, you know.
Well,
But when you
e-
play live, put a little extra in
Even
there.
even us live, like we play stuff a little bit differently than the record.
Oh yeah,
You know, we'll extend parts, or even like you were just saying, like I'll throw in runs that aren't on the record, and it's just makes me happy, and you guys don't hate it, and I'm like, cool, I'm gonna keep doing it. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and people afterwards like, man, that was great, and it's like some people really love the record, and then other people have even said to us, be like, man, you guys live is even so much better than the record, and I'm like, cool, awesome.
The interesting thing about your band and you live and just in general would be like the yin and yang between you and Mike's guitar playing.
mm-hmm.
Because I feel like you're such different players.
Oh yeah,
And it's really
100%.
interesting how it like comes together and makes this like really beautiful thing.
Yeah, he does some really interesting stuff, and he always says it's because he's not a guitar player, doesn't know like anything, and I'm like, but what you're doing is so cool that it just totally works and it helps, it aids the song, and that's when it comes to writing now, that's what I always think about is like this part's really cool, but is it going to help the song or is it just going to be nothing? You know what I mean? So as opposed to thinking, okay, this is a guitar part, this is a bass part, it's like, how are we going to construct the entire song to work with this, or what are we going to do? You know?
I struggle with that a lot when writing stuff for Sykes and the New Violence because we're not a traditional rock band and we rely so much on, you know, electronics and stuff because we have that hip hop element.
Mhm.
When I'm like composing songs, okay, it's like, well, I'm demoing out stuff in a DAW. I have endless tracks and I have this issue where I'm always a song starts out and it ends up having too much shit.
Mhm.
So it's like, okay, we got our guitar and our bass and our synth. And I'm like, okay, well, that synth would sound really cool if I fucking like octave it with like 3 other synths and made it sound super thick. And now it's like, okay, well, now you can't hear the fucking guitars anymore.
Right.
And then like you start adding all this stuff and it's like, oh shit, I go to record vocals and it's like, there's nowhere for them to sit in the mix.
Right.
And then you end up just like pulling everything back. And it's like, oh, I feel like there's nothing in this song now. But when you think about bands, it's like, okay, well, there's a drum track, a bass track, a guitar track, some keys, vocals, whatever. Like, it's fine if it's
Right.
dumb. Less is more
Right.
a lot of the time.
100%.
But when you have that ability to like record yourself and be in like a fucking Pro Tools or whatever DAW, and like you could just keep adding stuff,
it's
very
ridiculous.
tempting for like the curious mind to just keep going nuts.
And this is a compliment. Your style of music is really not my thing. Like, I'm not into that genre, but I saw you guys live at Howlers. It was incredible.
Oh, thank you.
Your live
That's
show
very kind.
is very
Thanks, Manu.
incredible. I'm not just saying that for any blah, blah, blah. I mean it. I was very impressed. What you guys do is super
You're so
cool.
dialed
It's-
in
yeah,
with
it's just-
everything.
it was.
It is impressive.
I was smiling the whole time and grinning. I'm like, this is cool.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well done. Well done.
Appreciate that.
Yeah.
It's funny. We tend to get that compliment more from like people that maybe aren't like hip hop fans. We're like hip hop for people that don't like hip hop.
Yeah.
And, like people tend to like come out and see it, and it seems like they get it when they see it. But it's like a really difficult thing because we're doing music and it doesn't always like translate on not paper, but like just like from
Yeah.
listening to it. It's like a thing that you have to see.
You have to go out and see
But
it.
getting people to like come out and actually see something is so hard. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
like moving this conversation into a thing where, okay, so Northern Gold writes music for, we'll just say like an older demographic, probably not intentionally. It's just we'll say, high school kids, early 20-something kids, the style of music that you're playing is probably not what they're listening to. It's the same thing with Sykes and New Violence. We're just like make music for people kind of in our age.
Sure.
But with that being said, on an independent level, it makes it really hard to get people to come out to shows because, I don't know, all of our fan base are other old adults that might not be able to come out to every show. So like, how has Northern Gold tackled that? Do you find yourselves having an issue getting people to come out to shows? Do you maybe be a little bit more selective on the shows that you play? Or do you just like promote your asses off?
We're definitely selective with what shows we want to play. And then not like as far as the bands that are on that show, it's more or less like, okay, we just played a show last month. Let's see what our options are this month. Maybe we play, maybe we don't play anything this month. And we just kind of pick and choose that way. And then, yeah, we promote pretty well. Word of mouth. I mean, I don't know. It doesn't seem that hard to get people to come out anymore. Just maybe because we're playing less.
Not playing as much in the city.
Yeah, yeah.
And I know my focus and our focus is like I'm trying to gather up contacts for stuff outside of Pittsburgh, just to get us out for like weekends and test the waters outside of Pittsburgh, and just because we love to play and we want to like gain as many new fans as we possibly can.
It's the next step for us. I think is we've finally got the lineup solid. We've played a lot of good shows in Pittsburgh. Now it's time to like start branching out.
And sometimes like random things happen, like with the Judah and the Lion show, where like literally 2 days before the show, we get a what Nate got a call from Jeremy. He was like, "Hey, I submitted you for this. I didn't tell you, but hey, Judah and his management picked you guys to open up for him. So can you guys do it?"
That show was
What was that experience like?
Awesome.
It was weird.
Fucking awesome.
Yeah, but it was weird because to be honest, I had never listened to Judah and the Lion.
Either had I.
But you've heard them, just not known. Probably.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, they sound like they're a radio band. They're good. I get it. They're
good
really
people,
good. Nice
people.
guys. But
Judah was also very nice.
Yeah.
when
He was a very nice guy.
when we got picked for that, I was like, well, I better check these guys out. And I'm like, what? Why are they asking us to play this? Like, these guys are like a mega radio pop band, and we are sad boy. Like, this is
What's crazy about that is I saw Corey from Punchline like a couple weeks later, and Jeremy submitted them for that show as well.
huh.
And Judah and his management were like, "No, we want these guys." And I was like, "I don't mean to be that guy, Corey, but like, I'm really happy that it happened." He's like, "No, man, good for you. Like, that's awesome."
I think that a lot of times when you have bands like that, obviously I wasn't at that show because Sykes already had a show that night that Justin had the bow out of.
Yeah.
But thanks
Yeah.
to
Thank you for that.
technology,
We
this
appreciate it.
MacBook right here played Justin's bass parts that night. So
you hear that, Justin? You're useless.
I mean, to be honest, we're all useless. We could literally put a MacBook up on
Yeah,
stage
no,
and be like,
yeah.
"Hey, we're North of Gold. Thanks for coming out."
No,
Hit a button and walk off
It's
stage.
so funny. Like, because I have I run all of our backtracks through multiple DIs out. So like he had his own DI out into his own speaker on his own spot on the stage.
That's
It was-
adorable.
I just wish that you would have had like a cutout of me, like with my bass, just sitting in front of the
To
speaker.
be fair, the stage that we played on was at Roboto. It was so fucking small that there wouldn't even have been space for you anyway. So part of me
really?
was kind of like glad that you weren't there because I was like, I don't know where the fuck you would have went.
The ceiling.
Hang me from the ceiling.
You can't, nail this man
But-
down.
What I was going to say about that show, and I find this happens a lot where those big touring bands that have big shows, they want to make sure that their show is the biggest, the loudest, the most exciting thing that happens. And they're probably into like having, like a more indie soft sort of thing open up the show because it sets the tone. It's not going to be bigger than their show. And it's a good opportunity for like them to check everything in the room and make sure everything's working good.
Well, yeah, they actually they called me, and it was like the day before, and they were like, "Hey, we just need to go over some guidelines with you," because typically, like, they have another opening band following them for the whole tour. So I don't know what happened there, but one of the things was our sound had to be lower than theirs.
Yep.
and we were not allowed to leave the stage. Like once we got on the stage, we were not allowed to leave until like our set was done. Like don't go into the crowd, don't run off the side of the stage, stay where you're at. So
Whoops.
I think you're all right.
Yeah.
They didn't
Yeah.
say anything.
But that's just me. Like I
That's your
really,
thing.
I
That's what I'm
really,
saying. We can't nail you
yeah.
down. Yeah.
I really love a big stage, and you know this.
Yeah.
Playing some bigger stages than me. Like I like to move around, and the only thing is like the sound guy left like a monitor right where I would go out to like stage right. So I had to like jump over like my monitor to like get out in front, and then like later Jake's like, yeah, they didn't really want us to do that, and I was like, well, it's too late, man.
They're never going to call us again.
No, I bet she does. Judas got her number.
Oh, he's calling me now.
Oh.
No, I think that it's a really interesting world that exists once you get to that level on even down to things like merch. Like, oh, you can't have like, you have to have less merch. Like with like a lot of metal bands, it's like,
Yeah.
oh, you can only bring 2 designs with you. They have to be price matched with us. Like
Yeah.
all this crazy
Wow.
stuff that happens when it comes to
That
getting on that level.
show really did us some good in that department as far as like gaining new fans and just having a new experience in general of that level, at least for that time period.
So-
is
Yeah.
go.
Real quick, just so anybody that's listening that wasn't there doesn't know, this was main stage 8.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Just to give
and-
you an idea of like how big of a show it was.
And after the show, like we went outside and, you know, had a beer and a smoke or whatever. And Jake here didn't have his hat on, but once he put that hat on, it's like his persona came back and we were signing autographs and signing t-shirts
Yeah.
and taking pictures with fans. And it was just so surreal.
Yeah.
It
You-
was such an interesting experience.
Yeah, what was very, I guess, surreal and humbling and awesome at the same time is like after like first song, second song, like I was waiting for people to just like, you know, you stop and you just hear crickets. And it's like, man, no one's gonna love it. Like we got done with like the first song and people were like,
Yeah.
there was some old dude like up front that was like, yeah, go bass player.
Yeah.
Get it, man. Get it.
Like I felt
And we
the
got done.
energy
I
of
went
that
up
night.
right up to that dude. I was like, here's a set list, man. He's like, thanks so much, brother. I was like, dude, thank you, man. And people were coming up and buying merch, and they're like, oh my God, I'm so glad you played the show. Like, I love your music, you know, blah, blah, blah. And, you know, hopefully more stuff like that comes down the pipeline. And you
Yeah,
know,
if anybody's listening, they can get us kind of into that world a little more. Hey,
hey, hit us up. Help
hit us
out.
up and we will let's make some magic happen.
Yeah.
Well, I think, so much of that just deals with like shaking the right hands, knowing
Sure.
the right
Know the right
people,
people, yeah.
management, all that
Yeah.
sort of stuff. So is that a conversation that has happened for Northern Gold? What's the next step in terms of being professionals?
Well,
Because obviously you're a good band. You're good at what you do.
Thank you.
You could play a big room like Stage AE opening. You could do it.
So
You did it. So what's next?
The thing about that though is that I feel like the songs were kind of constructed for large stages like that. Like we sound better on a big stage than we do on a small one.
Yeah.
So that's the idea. But go ahead, Monty. Why don't you take this
oh,
one?
this is so I'll just say it. We've got some recognition from a guy that worked for Geffen Records, and he's kind of put us on a radar a little bit. And you know, we've been conversing back and forth. You know, through a friend of mine, he's given us some good insight. You know, what's the next step and how to achieve it, and we're kind of working towards that right now. It's kind of a slow roll, but we're getting our pieces together, and yeah, we're being watched right now, but we have a little more work to do, and I understand that's just the nature of the beast. So
Yeah.
working we are, but we all want it. So
Yeah.
whatever it is that we're trying to achieve, you know, we're gonna get it.
We're gonna do what we have to do.
Yeah.
And like I've said to these guys, like I really feel that first step is like us just playing outside of Pittsburgh more and being selective, like we actually have been with shows in Pittsburgh, like not taking everything that comes along. If it feels good, and like those last minute ones, if it's something like the Judah and the Lion show, cool, let's do that. But if it's like a last minute one at, you know, Club Cafe and they want us to jump on last minute because there weren't great ticket sales, I don't know. I mean, I guess it would depend on who the band is. Like, I love helping out other bands, especially if they're local, but sometimes we just have to go, you know, we can't do that because it's not really good for us. And I hate putting it that way, but
Yeah.
like, it's just
I mean, we're
business.
all trying to, you know, essentially, you know, make it, but you do have to look out for yourself, and you do have to be selective, and mature about things, and sometimes that can come off as being an asshole. But
Yeah.
we're not trying
Yeah.
to be. We really aren't. It's just, I would love to do this for a living. So if we can make it happen, it's just some things you got to do to along the path that unfold the way they unfold.
Yeah, being selective it's super hard, and with Sykes, it's like, I mean, we just played a show that we shouldn't have played,
Oh,
hands down. Like
Yeah.
we really shouldn't have played it. It was
Yeah.
completely worthless. Aside from the fact that we hadn't been in a room together in maybe 3 weeks, so it was like
Yeah.
nice to have a practice on a stage with somebody running sound.
Yeah.
But that's essentially what it was.
Yeah.
And like there was somebody else in town that night that I really wanted to see, and I skipped going to the show to play this show. And it was just like, fuck, like, why did we do this? But it's like, well, it was a good set.
and
It sounded really good. And
yeah.
it's like, it's really crucial for us to stay sharp. And with like, for what we do, for some reason, like a practice and playing a show is completely different because there's so much that goes into our setup that like doing it live, we need to do it as much as we can so we could stay sharp. But battling that with not playing too much, it's like hard to figure out,
It is
like just a push and pull.
It's a balance.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It
I will
is.
say that show that there was one girl and her boyfriend, and she was fucking loving it.
Yeah.
And for me, like, I mean, hey, I want every show that, Northern Gold and Sykes and New Vines play. I want rooms packed because I love what we do. And maybe this will sound like being a dick, but I think we deserve it.
Sure.
I'm maybe that's the old man in me being like, I deserve this. But it's like, no, like I truly feel like musically and personality wise, like none of us are assholes about things. It's not like somebody comes up to us and we're like, get away, kid. No, I don't have time to sign your stuff. Like after a show, if like there's more people at that Judah show or like our release show or the next show that we play in town, if somebody there's a bunch of people that wants to sign stuff or hang out, like I'll be there for 2 or 3 hours. I don't care.
Yeah.
Unless I have to like get up and go to work, which I don't because I'm unemployed right now, unfortunately.
Living the dream.
Living the dream, baby.
No, that is the dream.
Yeah, it is. I mean,
Be unemployed and play music.
Yeah.
well, if we were playing music for a living, we wouldn't be unemployed.
Well,
It's like the best case scenario, the best job you can have, like because you love it, like, and obviously, like myself, I love it because I'm 40 years old and I'm still doing this.
yeah, I'd say we're all in that boat, bud.
yeah.
Like we all could have stopped a long time ago and
Yeah.
got, real jobs and hung it up and started families and
I
whatnot.
actually, I mean, I did quit playing bass for a year. I was in a band called Demira that were from Buffalo at the time. And as much as I learned from that band, there was a lot of things that were very negative about that whole, and comes back to like loving the people you play with and respecting them. There really wasn't that for me, but I was also in a bad place mentally. And when I got back from I got kicked out of that band. And when that happened, I was like, I'm done. I'm done playing bass. I didn't pick up bass for a year.
Yeah.
And then some friends of mine in a voice like Rhetoric, the same thing. They're like, hey, can you fill in for a show? And I'm like, yeah, sure. Okay. And they're like, do you want to join? And it's like, okay, cool. And we toured for a while. And same thing, like things just kind of dissolved. And, thankfully that path is what needed to bring me to you guys and to Brian over here.
you
so
also
it's-
need that time to learn
Yes.
what to do and what not
Yes.
to do. So,
Yes, exactly. Growing experiences.
exactly.
Taking the inward voyage is part of the deal too.
Yes, for sure. And you're a big part of like all of you, but like especially me, like learning to like get inside and let all these suppressed feelings just let them out
Yeah.
because it's toxic, very toxic.
Yes.
Indubitably.
I just got real deep
I
there.
concur.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I think I need another.
No,
I need another
it's-
beer.
It's super crucial. You need more beer?
Yes,
Yeah, we need
please.
more
All right.
beer.
So here's the deal. Shout outs to Penn Brewery real
Penn
quick.
Brewery, thank
we
you,
got
guys.
a little bit of this Penn Gold left.
I want to try the other one.
You want to try the other one?
Yeah,
All right.
please.
Who wants that Penn Gold? That's the basic stuff, so that's probably good. Well, that's actually an award-winning beer.
Is it really?
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's the Great American Beer Festival. I think they
Oh,
won
yeah,
Best
yeah,
Helles
yeah.
Lager in the
Yeah.
world.
Oh yeah.
What's that thing? Yeah.
That's
Good for
awesome.
them.
Basic.
It's
Like
very good.
me.
But it is a good beer.
It is a good beer.
And then this is the
Pumpkin
Penn
spice.
IPA.
Wow.
In this- Arkham Realty growler. Shout outs to Arkham Realty.
Shout out.
We're going to be wrapping up shortly, but we'll take some time to pour some beers. And while we're doing this, why don't one of you let the people know on the internet where they can find Northern Gold?
All right, I'll handle this.
Yeah, good.
All right, you can check us out at northerngoldmusic.com. We're on Spotify. We're on iTunes. We're updating the YouTube. We're on Facebook. We're on Instagram. And yeah, you can pretty much find us anywhere. Google us at Northern Gold Music, and a bunch of stuff will pop up. Come check out our shows, and we're doing some new things visually. We're getting very exploratory with sounds and visuals and just the whole experience. And that's the thing what I'm trying to get across to people is we're not just we're a band. Yeah, of course we play music, but there's just so much music out there, and it's so quick and so fast. You can find whatever you want immediately, but when you come to one of our shows, we want you to be there, and we want to connect with you and offer an experience that you're not going to get anywhere else but right there. Right?
A bonding experience.
Yeah.
Good job.
Yeah. Thanks.
That was great. So with you, we'll start with Monty. I'm going to kind of ask some final questions here that'll probably still take 15 or 20 minutes anyways. Actually, no, let's start with Jake.
Oh, no.
Jake,
Good.
when it comes to writing heavier music, like back in the day, do you still have that itch? Do you ever like work on any heavy stuff that nobody knows about?
Oh, man.
Tell them.
It's funny that you say that. I think, you'll be probably releasing this soon with Ricky. You did one of these with Ricky, Dennis, and he's a good friend of mine. Anyhow, he's bandless right now, and we hang out all the time, and we've been talking, and he was showing me some of the fail-safe demos that he was working on before that all ended, and said, "Hey man, like you're really good. You need to keep going." And Monty played drums in a heavy band, and we lived together. So I'm like, you know what? Hell with it. Let's just record some stuff and see what happens. So yeah, I'll be
Need a bassist?
yeah. Well, actually,
Cool. I'm here for
that's
you.
going to be the
I want to be in a heavy band again.
It's going to be the fun thing about all of it is that I'm just going to bring in people, guitar players, bass players, whoever wants to be involved. If you want to get in on a track, I would love that. That'd be cool. So,
All right.
Simply for the sake of expressing. That's why we're doing this.
Yeah. And I also find that when I have like a writer's block,
Is it going to be called Southern Bronze?
It's called Southern Silver, bud. No, that'll be announced later. But when it comes to writing and having like writer's block, I feel like it helps to create something different or something that I've never even tried before. I've been listening to some like synth wavy stuff, and I'm kind of getting into that.
Okay.
So I don't know. I'm all over the place. So
Yeah. Night Traveler. Is that what you're talking about?
Night Traveler. What was
Ooh.
the other one?
The Ivy.
The Ivy. I like them a lot.
Yeah.
I
So-
think that's
Check them out.
I think that's super crucial. And most people that I know in the songwriting world, the most creative ones are the ones that always have those weird curveballs. You wouldn't expect them to listen to the stuff that they listen to at all. Like fucking, what's his name? The singer of the Common Heart.
Oh, Clinton. Yeah.
He was at the Grey Walker album release show.
Mm-hmm.
And like, we were talking about like Pantera after our set. Like, and like, he's like into all that stuff.
He's
It's like, I
in-
never would have fucking expected it.
I'm pretty sure he loves like old school hip hop. Like that's
Yeah.
his jam.
Yeah, I
So-
think that like, but that's the type of thing where it's like just on the surface, there's like, okay, this big burly motherfucker that fronts this awesome soul band. And it's
Yeah.
okay, well, like, since I have the connection and I feel the soul in something like a Pantera, like I get it. It's not that weird to me,
Mhm.
but it's still awesome to come across people who are like that. And most people that are songwriters that are really, really good ones just listen to the most outside the box shit that you would never expect.
We all listen to
That's
the
like
Spectrum.
Ben from Dillinger Escape Plan.
Yeah.
I remember years ago, this is when they had the OG singer and they played in Erie. But anyways, I was randomly just talking to him. I was like, oh, what do you guys listen to in the band? He's like, Fiona Apple.
Yeah.
He's like,
Yeah.
we that's all we've listened to this whole tour is just Fiona Apple. And I'm like, really? And he's like, yeah, dude, she's great. And I'm like, yeah, I know, I love her, but like, I didn't expect that. And he's like, no, we barely listen to metal. Like,
I can
Yeah.
relate to that though. Like
Yeah.
if you're doing it
Yeah,
totally.
all the time, you know, you want to freshen your ears up with something different. I think.
And I think that
Oh, for
you
sure.
Absolutely.
And she's putting out a new record soon. I'm so stoked.
you get the freshest perspective if you're able to find like a healthy way to bring that influence into what you're doing. You know, like with Sykes, it's like I think about I'm having a brain fart, but it's because it's passion. The passion's blocking my thoughts. With
You're in a safe
Sykes,
space.
I write the songs, even though it's like hip hop, there's always been more of like a really dramatic metal song structure to the way I do things. Cause it's like I want a really epic intro and a really dramatic bridge and like all these things. It's never just been like a 16 bar loop with anything that I've done. It's like, no, there needs to be a bunch of different parts. I want it to be structured like a rock song.
Yeah, no, I can definitely hear that, and I think that's what makes you so unique when you guys do it. Like it's your live show is amazing, but the music is definitely like more. I wouldn't even like. I would say it's more of a rock band than it is hip hop. You know, it's like
Definitely.
but it's cool.
It's just like I've been thinking about it a lot, and it's if anybody tries to ask me about like what Sykes is and why it is the way that it is, it's just like, you know, I was born in 1985. I'm simultaneously a child of the 80s and the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like I just grew up in an era where it was like listening to Beastie Boys, Rage Against the Machine,
yeah.
and
Yes.
Pantera all made
Yes.
sense.
Yeah, you're
And
just
it's like that's what you're getting when like you're hearing my stuff. It's just like Green Day, Iron Maiden, Smashing Pumpkins, like all that stuff was top notch in my brain.
you're making the records that you never heard.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And that's important.
You
And I
left
think
out Beck.
Yeah.
Throw maybe a little Soundgarden in there
Beck,
too.
9 Inch Nails,
Yeah.
Soundgarden,
Oh my God.
sure, Nirvana, all that stuff. It's like the Prodigy.
Yes.
Like all that
Yeah.
stuff was like so huge. It was such an interesting time. The like early to mid 90s, like music was just there was like no filter on what could be popular. Anything could be popular. It was awesome.
yeah, we
What an
listened
amazing
to it was like a video. It was like top 100 songs
yeah.
from the 90s, and it like some of the songs I'm like, really, that was the 90s? Like I thought this was like the 80s. And
Yeah.
you're just,
Yeah.
it's crazy.
It was so interesting it was like a time where there was so much money in the music industry that they were able to allow like creativity was allowed to fuel the music industry, where now it feels like money has to fuel it again. And there's
It's really unfortunate, but yeah,
Yes, it is.
it seems like a lot of major players in the industry are a lot less likely to take a chance on something because it's like, well, this doesn't meet everybody has too much data. We have too much information on like algorithms and viewership times and all of these things that like where people release albums and people seem to do things based on like computer data that we've gotten fed to us. And it's like, I don't,
Or how engaging you are on Instagram.
yeah.
You know, it's
I just feel like music doesn't sound timeless anymore. Like
no.
back in the 90s and 80s and 70s, you had like a timeless sound. And now the stuff that's coming out, not that it's bad, like there's some cool shit out there
Yeah.
for sure. But I don't know. It's just, there's like this, it's like this wouldn't sound like an oldie. Like this
Yeah.
can't be an oldie in
It's-
20 years. Like it's just,
It's like you're not going to get
Nothing wrong
I'm
with
not,
that.
not saying you won't get this, but you're not going to get a band like my favorite band, Jawbox, was signed to a major back in like the 90s. Like them today, like if a band like them came out today, there's no fucking way a major label is going to sign them and be like, I smell a hit. You know, but back then they're like, dude, this band is fucking great. You know, they've been killing it on Discord. Like they have a huge fan base, you know, for an indie band, let's sign them. And that would never happen today. It'd be like, well, I mean, what do the analytics look like on Google? You know,
yeah, it's
well,
almost like they're promoting the same thing over and over again with just
For
different
sure.
faces.
I
Yeah,
get press
Yeah.
kits sent to me a lot. For some reason, I don't know. I guess my email has gotten onto lists for booking agents and all of these things, and people think that I'm somebody that's gonna I have a blog and I write about shows and I can like interview bands for my blog and promote their show when they're coming into town. And it's kind of not exactly what I do, but all the time I get these press kits and I open them up because I never know. Like there might be an opportunity to interview Fiona Apple or something crazy. Who knows?
Yeah.
Uh,
if you get to
I
interview
mean-
Fiona Apple, can I just like sit there and just be like, just there. I
No.
won't say anything. No.
That's a hard no.
We'll
No, you can
we'll
do it.
make sure Justin's very
No,
far
no,
away.
no. You could be
Probably
here. You'll
should.
be my engineer for the day.
Yes.
I got you.
Not a train engine.
But I get these emails, and the way that these emails are worded is always so like it's no okay. So here's the example. I'll just use your band name for example. It's like okay, if I was going to send an email out, I'd be like, oh, Northern Gold's this, indie rock, Americana, country sort of thing. I don't know. I'd give some description about the band. They're on tour promoting their new album and things like that. Like that's what I would say. Most of the emails that I get are like, this is Northern Gold, who across all social platforms have obtained 1 million fans and 750,000 billion streams. And it's like, it just says the name
That's
of
all
the band.
true.
Then there's a bunch of numbers. And then at the bottom, it talks about like who the band is and what they do. And it's so weird that it's like, I don't care
Yeah, it's like
about how many
stats.
people have listened to them. I want to know what they are.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Is the band good
Yeah.
or not?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, if I read an email, like if I was in your position, I read those emails, I'd be like, this is disgusting. It's like we need to stop the internet now.
Just play music. If you're in a band, just play music.
Yeah.
Just write and play music, and all the other stuff is just extra. Honestly, at the end of the day,
I think that that's a conversation that I've had with myself a lot. And I think that maybe more people need to have because we do get caught up in talks about the algorithms and the way that social media kind of throttles things. And we're all like, okay, we're posting stuff and people aren't engaging with it. And maybe it's because we're not paying for promotion or doing this and that. But we've all posted things randomly that have gotten a bunch of attention just because it was a genuine post.
Sure.
Yeah.
I think a conversation that a lot of bands need to have with themselves is like, well, what you're putting out is just not that interesting. So people aren't engaging with it. It's not the fact that like Facebook's trying to hold you down and make you give them money. It's just like, okay, maybe your music isn't that good. Maybe nobody cares that you're playing a show because you played a show last weekend. Maybe nobody cares about your album that came out because you've been posting about it for the past fucking 2 months and people don't care anymore.
right.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
are you boring or is the internet holding you down?
Everyone-
I think a lot of times bands are maybe just boring.
Yeah.
Yeah, people think they're not getting a fair chance because of algorithms and things like that. And
I mean, that's a small part of it for sure.
it is,
Yeah.
But I could tell you this, one day randomly, I don't know who did it in Greywalker. It was probably Colt, but Colt just temporarily changed our profile picture to a picture of a gray walker, like a gray walking walker.
That was probably cool.
And it got like 250 likes
Miss you, Colt.
out of nowhere. Like people saw it and we didn't pay for that. Like, it was just a thing that we changed and people thought it was funny. So they gravitated towards it.
it's
And
great.
that's fine.
That is great.
Because it's something different and
yeah.
like people, it's like learning how to use social media and just be like to connect with people and just kind of give them something to engage with versus like, oh, we're playing a show next weekend at the Craft House. It's like, you're in a band. You're supposed to play shows. I don't give a shit. Either I'm going to
Yeah.
come or I'm not going to come.
That's one other thing that Monty like does
Yes.
really well in the band is he does all the designs and like all of the posts that you'll see with images and whatnot. Like that's all him throwing that together, and it's great to have that kind of content because it does keep people interested in maybe not even the band, just like, oh my God, that's a really cool.
It's like you need
Yeah.
to be two different
Thing.
things. It's like almost the fact that you make music is completely irrelevant to like what like who you are as like a social media contributor. It's like you need to be two different things.
It is, yeah, that's
And
unfortunate.
I bring this up a lot.
is.
It's so I apologize to anybody that listens to this show a lot, but I still think this is a very valid point. We all spent, a decade, 2 decades, like a long time, like learning music, playing shows, just being the best musicians that we could possibly be. And then all of a sudden we get smacked in the face like, oh, you also have to be a business consultant. You have to be your own manager and be
Right.
all these things. And we didn't go to technical school for these things. We don't know anything about this. All of a sudden we have to be fucking marketing experts. I don't have another 10 years to put into learning how to do this. This is a nightmare.
exactly.
also, but
Well,
it's,
you don't want to go to school and drop a crap ton of money on learning how to be a marketing
school
business.
as in like a hypothetical school.
Yeah,
Like, 'cause I mean, I
hypothetical.
taught myself how to do everything that I do. I just don't
And-
have another.
Yes.
But that's
Yeah.
at the end of the day, it's like it's art, and
art.
how are you gonna market? It just doesn't make sense. Like, how do you market like a painting? Like, like, oh, I gotta do a giant piece downtown on a building so everyone sees my name. Like, okay, now who do I have to contact to get to that point? Like, I don't know. And it's kind of the same idea.
Or
with
you just
music.
go out and you fucking put that piece of art on a building. You don't ask anybody permission to do it.
That's one way to do it.
People go, who did that? And be like, well, it was Jake. And they're like, oh. And maybe you go to jail for painting on a building, but you sell a shit ton of art because you did.
The only
Yeah,
thing that
5
I
years later, you're Shepherd Ferry.
Yeah.
well, yeah, I mean that's, but coming like back to the music thing is like, how do you do that? How do you figure out the route that you want to be on, or the end goal? You have point A, you have a band. And point B is like, okay, this is what you're doing for a living. So what's the route to get there? There's
Quite honestly, like I still feel, and maybe I'm completely wrong on this, and if so, then let me know. But like I said before, I want to get us outside of the city and grind and hustle.
Yeah.
And we're probably going to have some shows that really fucking suck. But if there's one or two people at those shows that love what we do, dude, that's a win.
Yeah,
That's a win.
Honestly, like if you have a shitty show at a venue that's awesome, run by cool people, that's a win.
Dude, that's a win too.
If you can learn to, if you talk to the people that run the venue and they're cool and they want to have you back, that's a win. Or a promoter that's super cool, or bands that are cool, or people that is cool. Like,
I've run across it where, and this is like an old band I was in, and we played a legit venue. There was no one there. There's maybe 5 people, but the sound guy and the owner of the venue, they're all like, you guys are fucking amazing. We want to get you back here. And, the next show that we have there was 3 times as many people. And that's because they really liked what we did. And they put in effort. Because at first it was like, oh yeah, we'll throw you on the show. We'll have you open up for, such and such local band. And the local band didn't do any.
the funnies.
Yeah, Doug and the Funnies. And Doug and the Funnies didn't do any, they didn't do any promotion at all because they, just didn't want to do it.
Is that really the band's name?
No,
No.
That's a good band name though. If anybody
I
wants
like
to
it.
take it, just saying.
But you know what I'm saying? Like those things can happen where it's
Yeah.
like they bring you back and they're like, oh, I really like this band. So I'm going to put in personal effort to try to get people out here because I want more people to see that band, and kind of like Jeremy at the Judah and the Lion show. He's a fan of ours. He's a friend as well. Nate and I used to play in a band with him. And so he hooked us up, and very cool experience. And
No right or wrong way to do anything when it comes to this kind of stuff.
I guess what I'm trying to say is like, just grind and hustle. That's personally what we need to do. And
Another valuable thing
Just do
about
it.
playing out of town is you really find out how good you are when you're in a room of complete strangers.
yes,
Mhm.
The promoter doesn't know who you are. The venues don't know who you are. The people there don't know who you are. You're just a band. So like, how does your music hold up? It's not so much like there's no sympathy. There's no like, oh, well, like I don't dig this, but like Monty's a good dude. We've worked together forever. Like a coworker, somebody comes out. There's no like sympathy or pity. It's very like either this band is good or they're not.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And it's super crucial to have those experiences. And just like, I don't know, learning how just playing. I just love playing different stages, especially with Sykes, because it's always a wild card because we have such such specific requirements that are very rarely ever met. So it's just like learning how to adapt in every situation to be able to still play.
I honestly don't know how you do it because I have an acoustic and electric guitar that like I'm supposed to bring to everything, and like sometimes I'm just like, screw it, I'm just playing electric tonight. It'll be fine, but like I can't imagine setting up everything that you guys have and like
That's why I'm
everything
so glad
works.
I don't play drums anymore. Like lug all
Yeah,
over.
right.
it's a pain in the ass to drag gear
Yeah,
around.
yeah. I'm always trying to figure out ways to make things less complicated, but I somehow make it more complicated by doing so.
Because now you have like multiple
Yeah,
ways to do things.
yeah. It doesn't. Nothing helps, but most good things aren't supposed to be easy, right? I don't know.
No, but to that, like, it is a little more streamlined now. It
is.
It definitely
it's
is
better. It's better than it was, but
and we all help out to tear down
Yeah.
the screen and tear down like the drummer, which is our Mackies.
uh-huh.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like we all chip in, whereas before it was like I tear down my stuff and take it out the car and be like, all right. And you'd be like, no, I got the rest of it. I'm like, you sure, man?
But to note again on like the playing outside, different places with strangers and whatnot, I would say like you definitely always bring your A game as a musician. Like if you know you're playing out of town, you're always like, I'm good to go.
Uh-huh.
I got this. And then like that's a good feeling when you get off stage and you know you did a good job.
Yeah.
And then the extra would be having people coming over and
I kind of
talking
like
to
the
you.
challenge.
Yeah.
Me too.
You know,
It's
It's like playing like the Super Bowl or something like
Yeah,
that. It's
you-
like
you
you've been
know what
working all year for it.
what I really look forward to, and sometimes I miss, is like, and actually before that Judah show, we were standing side stage, and he's like, "You nervous?" And I was like, "Not really, man." I mean, I had like some like little bit of nervous butterflies, and like once I stepped on, like those were there, and I was like, "Oh, I fucking miss this. Like, I never feel this anymore." And it used to be like almost every show I played was like, "Okay, don't fuck up," you know. Hey, you're good, kind of like getting that Zen place mentally. And as soon as we got through the first song, I was like, I'm good.
I have an easier time playing in front of like large crowds than I do small
Yeah?
crowds. I can't.
I agree with
stand-
you.
Okay.
I
I
can't
agree with
stand
you.
to play a
I guess I
small
can
room.
see that. I can,
Like
I can see that.
Yeah, the social pressure of playing a small room, it almost feels heavier because if you're in a room with 100, 200, 300 people, it's like, okay, they're coming, everybody that came there came for a show and they have a show. So now all you have to do is play. I'm not worried about playing. But the extra emotional weight of playing a show where there's only 10 fucking people in the room, where I guarantee you at least half those people are only there because they got dragged there. So they don't even want to fucking be there. So now you have this like emotional responsibility to like do the best for the 5 people that bothered to show up. And then you also want to make sure that the people that they drug with them have a good time too.
right.
And like, I'm an entertainer. I want to entertain. I want everybody to have a good time. So like the weight of that. And it's so much more intimate. You know what I mean? It's like we're like literally all in bed together. Like we're all under these sheets and we need to have this really intimate experience because it's a small room. There's only 10 of us. Like I can literally see the scowl on your face versus like a room with hundreds of people and you're already like so far from the stage where it's just like a sea of just whatever.
Right.
Yeah,
It's like
yeah.
making that eye contact with like the, limited people in
And
the room.
Much
Yeah.
like the way that, okay, real quick, the camera is going to die. That's totally fine. If you're watching this on YouTube or Facebook, I apologize, but we're going to keep talking. For those that are on Spotify or iTunes or Google or whatever, you're good. Don't worry about it. But you should watch on YouTube or Facebook because it's cool. Video is neat. Anyways, much like Northern Gold, Sykes and the New Violence benefits from having a bigger stage, or Greywalker as well. It's
Yeah.
like
Right.
we write music for
Bigger
big
stages.
rooms. So typically when you're playing a small show in a smaller room with a smaller crowd, it's like the audio isn't even coming across the way that it should because of the limitations of the space. And that's another thing that I get in my head about, which is like, I was listening to this thing recently. So shout outs to Talib Kweli, rapper. People know him. He has a podcast
Love
now
him.
that's really
Does he
good.
really?
Yes, it's
Oh,
awesome.
dude, I'm gonna have to check that
and
out.
he had Murs on his podcast, and Murs was talking about being a creative and how like when you're a super creative person, you can always think about these ideas for writing songs and all these great things, and you paint these great pictures in your mind. And he brought up something that I never thought about, but I totally do it. Being so creative that you can also paint the worst possible scenario in your head all the time.
Very
And
true.
like your creativity working against you to always think about the worst possible things. And that happens so much with me, especially when I'm in a situation like that.
Yeah. I get
Yes.
very, oh man, I get so in my head when like things aren't working properly, like when I'm setting up or something like that at a show, and it'll
Yeah.
affect me
And
pretty
it's like,
badly.
it's because like your creativity is so strong that you have the ability to think about the most impossible situations, but it still seems so real in your head.
But how many of those negative situations have actually come true?
Not many.
Exactly.
Not many. I've only played 2 shows where I've been like called out on stage from the audience. Awkwardly enough, they were both at the Irish Center.
Oh man.
One
Boy.
was one of the 412 fests.
Jeez.
Shout out to Lil Chase. Which
Oh, man.
you remember that
Yep.
those days.
Yep. Yes, I do.
I remember I was playing one of the 412 fests and there was somebody like heckling me during my set. I don't know who it was. Granted, I was a much different performer at the time, but like still the same. I didn't have
It
a
was
band.
me.
It could have been you. It could have been. I don't know. I didn't have a band at the time, and I was finding myself. You know what I mean? I was like making beats. I didn't understand I was trying to do stuff that was heavier. Jake actually played guitar on some of my early tracks.
I miss doing that. Like
before.
I know you have a band now, but please let me get in.
And me and
Second
Jake
guitar,
actually
man.
we did a series of really fun cover songs together as well
I
too.
remember that.
That I have been kind of wiped from the internet, but if you know us,
Bring 'em
probably-
back, man.
No,
Bring 'em
it's-
back.
It's for the best.
they're reasonable. They're relatively embarrassing, but it was fine.
Shown to me at least.
Yeah, the most amount I will say our cover of Lady Gaga's Bad Romance that we did together was like my most viewed YouTube thing ever.
That was a good one. I like
That was
that
probably
one.
the best of the three that we did.
Yeah. No, let's do something else.
Yeah.
Let's do it again. I don't care.
Yeah,
Anything.
we could do something.
I'm down.
Let's get weird.
I'd be into
Yeah.
it. What the fuck was I talking? Oh, and then the second time was when I opened up for a very young Mac Miller at the Irish Center.
Wow.
I remember that.
I opened up for Mac Miller at the Irish Center. I've played with Wiz Khalifa twice. Once was at the Irish Center and once was at Matrix in Station Square.
Wow, Matrix.
Those were very early Sykes days. Funny enough, the Wiz Khalifa show, when I played with him at the Irish Center, it was probably one of the most well-received shows that I ever had. I sold a ton of stuff. Everybody there was really nice. I had a really good set. The Mac Miller show was probably the worst show that I ever played,
That's really weird.
which is
because-
really surprising, right?
Yeah, because his music is like the beats and stuff that he has is just not your typical like hip hop thing. And the
Yeah.
same goes
Well,
for you. You know,
what happened, I will say this. What happened with the Mac Miller show, so I had my buddy Amok, aka Ryan, who some people might know is another MC in the city who isn't super active right now. He has like 3 kids, a good job, awesome wife. He's doing a lot of stuff. He still does music, but he just doesn't play out a whole lot. He was my hype man for that show. And people started kind of like, they were being brats in the crowd. And he's the type of person that's like, no, fuck you. So basically on my behalf, he was being like, fuck you, and started like making it worse. And I would never do that. I would just play the fucking song. My thing is, if somebody's not digging what you're doing, just do the set the best that you can. And either they get it or they don't. But
Isn't
he was
he-
like heckling back.
Isn't he ripped too?
Oh,
as
yeah,
well?
yeah, he's jacked.
It's
So,
scary.
yeah,
I actually
yeah.
talked to him once about like lifting, and I was
Oh,
like,
yeah,
dude,
he's
what
super
do you
jacked.
like? What do you eat? Because like, I mean, I work out, but like, I am not shredded. Like he was like, it was basically like, I eat chicken, and I eat vegetables, and that's it. I'm like, oh, okay,
That'll do it.
cool. That sounds really boring,
on
but-
pizza.
Yeah.
But yeah, those two shows, those are the only times. The Mac Miller one was the worst
Oof.
for sure. But I think that a big part of that was because Ryan heckled back.
Yeah, that would probably do it.
Yeah. So I mean, I totally get it. It's like yeah, I was in. I mean, fuck, the Irish Center is basically Squirrel Hill, so you're in. It's like a home neighborhood show. All the kids that are going there aren't there to fucking see me, but I'm gonna play the best 20 minutes that I possibly can.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was heckling back and whatever. That was fine. I don't know.
The Irish Center.
Hip hop is weird.
It is. Yeah.
The world of hip hop is weird.
Have you ever done any open mics?
Mm-mm. No.
You should try to do that.
Maybe once or twice. I'm not going to say I've never done them, but I don't think.
So I stumbled across this open mic down at Spirit in Lawrenceville, and it's like the 3rd or 4th Wednesday.
Is that the
Uh,
jam night?
It's an open mic, but they have a backing band, and the backing band is phenomenal. And it was mainly like hip hop acts and stuff. There was, a couple people that wrote their own songs that would come up and like play them on the phones for the band, like real quick, and then the band's like got it, and they would just jam it.
Yeah.
Nice.
You should try to do something like
That
that.
sounds cool.
It's a
sounds
lot
really
of fun.
cool.
I think if
I'll tell you this: if you're ever doing any open mics, let me know.
yeah, we can
we
figure something out.
We can go down.
Yeah. Oh,
We can get
absolutely.
them to learn Bad Romance, and we could play our cover live.
Yeah, I'll take my acoustic and we'll do an acoustic cover of it.
Yeah,
you know?
that's so fucking funny. So, again, wrapping things up, we already talked about where people can find you. Is there anything on the horizon for the rest of the year? Any shows or anything to promote?
We're working on a few things. I would say just definitely add us on Facebook and Instagram if you're interested in following us. We're working on some new music. We're recording with a buddy of ours just to try some things out. So yeah, I would say that's pretty much it. I just want to. I feel like we didn't do it proper, but I'd like to give a shout out to Matt Berry and say thank you.
Thank you, Matt.
The record turned out great, and a lot of that is due to him just working with us, and it took us a year to mix it.
Yeah,
I
no.
feel so bad.
No, Matt Berry's a rare soul in the terms of like there's plenty of studios in the city. There's plenty of producers, plenty of engineers, but there aren't many people that have like the passion for music that he does or the ear that he does. And I think it's awesome because like he doesn't want to put his name on anything that's trash. And if you're going in there and recording with him and like you're bringing trash, like he'll do whatever he can to make it as good as it can be, but without like sacrificing integrity. Like he understands the way different styles of music are, and it's not going to be like he's going to try to turn you battery exhausted.
Oh,
Me
How
too.
cute.
Me
How
too,
cute.
buddy.
Why is this?
Oh,
Okay. Anyways, the
tired.
camera's finally dead, but he will do his best to just put out the best possible product that he can because he really cares about music. And I'm somebody that I record most of my own stuff,
Mhm.
but he's the only other person that I've ever met that I felt comfortable enough to work with in the studio.
Yeah,
Him and Sid, my new friend Sid Riggs. Shout out to Sid.
Yeah, Sid's done. I mean, I heard some of the stuff he did with Gray Walker, and it sounds awesome.
Yeah, he's another awesome dude.
Yeah, like I would say from my personal perspective, like Matt fucking nailed the bass tone for Searching.
yeah,
Like, it was-
he nailed everything.
Yeah.
He did a really great job just
yeah.
figuring out what we wanted. I think
Yeah.
just going in there. I had some demos that we tracked at home, and I think that having that was helpful for him probably, but he was able to take what we brought and just like make it 20 times better, and that's a good look. And adding to it, I mean, he's like, I know you got this going here, but we're gonna do this instead. We're just gonna try it. If you don't like it, we can take it out. And like he was willing to do that kind of thing. And sometimes you go places and they're like, oh, I'm so set in my ways. This is what we're doing. I don't care.
He was willing to experiment on some things.
Yeah.
Like I mentioned earlier, with like using like the POG on like certain parts and just giving some input to like, hey, because I would have like I said earlier, like bass parts that were a little more complicated, not super complicated, be like, no, you should just do this. Let's try it this way. And then we'd A/B it and be like, yeah.
He's really,
He's a good engineer. Well, I wouldn't even say good. I would say he's a great engineer, great producer.
yeah,
so-
he's great to work with. If
Yeah.
if your band is looking to record anywhere, check him out. Check our record out to, compare it to things. He's
Yeah.
done so many different genres though that he can kind of figure it out. So thanks.
Yeah. I mean, we've recorded with him with Gray Walker. I've recorded with him with Sykes. And he's done a bunch of stuff. So Matt's a good dude.
Mhm.
He is.
I like the dude a lot. And anything else?
Oh
I
yeah.
don't know.
Before we go, I just want to say hi, Mom. Hi, Dad. Hi, Evan.
Oh, nice.
Hi, Amy. Hi, Sarah, Chase, Archer, and whoever else.
Yeah. You know what? I'm going to do the same thing. Hi, Mom. Hi, stepdad Bill. Hi, Allison. That's really it.
Hi, Justin.
Hi, Monty.
Excellent.
Excellent. And I'm gonna do that selfless plug. Hey, if you go and listen to us and you want to book a show with us somewhere, please do. Like, get at us. We'd love to play anywhere.
And Brian, thank you, man.
Yes,
This is
Brian, I love you. Thank you so
a new
much, man.
experience for me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you guys for coming by. Long overdue, but all things considered, it's probably better that we waited until now because I feel like we're in a good place to talk now.
Yes.
Absolutely.
So yeah, that what do I do? How does this work? Outro. And that is
There we
all,
go.
folks. Thanks so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed the conversation. I'm staring at a camera that is dead, but fuck it. Lonnie, Jake, Justin, 3/5 of Northern Gold. Shout outs to Nate and Mike who are not here. I will say this. Of everybody that is not here, definitely not surprised that it's Nate and Justin. And
Hey, Nate
I'll
and
be-
Mike.
or Nate and Mike, I'm sorry. Oh, fuck.
I'm here.
Nate and Mike, I fucked up.
Better edit
I'm
that.
excited. I'm not going to edit that because it's
Remix.
important to let
No,
people
I
know
love
your
it. I love it.
flaws.
It's great.
Yes,
I'm
of
not.
course.
I'm a fucking mess.
Open book.
I'll be back
We've
again
been
next
drinking too much.
I'll be back again in a few days with another episode. Same time, same place, same channel. You know the drill. My name is Sykes. Start the Beat 2019. Woo woo! Thanks for listening. And then we get that slow fade on that beat.
Oh, nice. Oh,
And then we're done.
that's sexy. Good, because I have to pee so effing
Oh
bad.
shit.